Radio Clyde's Check It Out. It's a great pleasure to welcome to the studio this evening three people who are currently in the middle of a highly successful UK tour and a #1 album they have at present as well. Tom, Alana and Joe, the Thompson Twins.
Hi.
Oh, a collective hello. It's good to see you in the middle of what must be something that's perhaps giving you a pat on the back after a long time of hard work.
Yeah. This tour is just like a celebration. It's really good, you know. It's sold out every gig and we're having a riot.
It's kind of hard work touring, but does the kind of reaction that you're getting nowadays, like you had on Saturday at the Apollo, make it like a playtime?
It's electrifying in a way that I can't really describe, so I'm sure that we get a lot of energy from that and it keeps us going. It makes it all worthwhile.
Things really started to be successful with Quick Step last year. Did you expect it to come as good as this so quickly?
I don't know, it's in a way because we've been at it beforehand, we've been looking forward to this success for so long. When it eventually happened, in a way it took us by surprise, but in a way we'd been expecting it, you know. So when it came, we fitted into that groove very easily, I think.
It was interesting that the band had to be kind of brought down to 3 members and kind of chopped and changed around a bit. Does that mean that you three basically agree on everything?
No, we agree on nothing. We fight. That's why we write such good songs.
Right.
We're very different people. I think this band is only the same as the last band in name. I think that's really the only thing that's common with it, other than we were all in the last band playing since 1980. But our music is very different, our attitude is very different to what we're doing. And like I said, we fight. We also get on very well, which is why we can fight as well.
Joe, people, I think, in bands get a bit upset with labels in pop music, but it's inevitable that the music press, and I suppose people in my position, will have to at some stage label music. Yours, I would label it as very good quality pop music. Is that an offensive term?
No, it's not an offensive term. We do understand the need for labels. I'm just glad to be on this side of it rather than the other side, because I know it must be really difficult to be able to praise what a band or a group does and capture or encapsulate or try and recreate an association for people who've never heard of us. So that's as good as any, yeah. And seeing as there have been some, I mean, I think pop music, distilling a song down into 3, maybe 4 minutes, really going for it, and all the problems that has, getting people up or taking them down or taking them to various places is in itself something that's absolutely nothing to be ashamed of, and I'm quite, right behind that. I think it's great.
I think pop music is only short for popular music anyway. It means that you're communicating with a large number of people instead of being, for example, just a cult band and basically preaching to the converted, which is what we used to do in the old band. We were a South London band. We used to make music for people in South London. Now we've got sort of fans that are 3-year-olds and fans that are 82. I met this woman the other day who came to a concert. And that's brilliant, and also completely international. We go for things and try and make songs that are not necessarily black, white, male or female, anything, or even English, or even anything, we just go for them.
That ties in with what we were just
possible.
talking about earlier, in that we are 3 very different people, we argue a lot. Therefore, anything that eventually gets through our particular net has a high chance of appealing to lots of different sorts of people,
It's a kind of clearing out process.
Yeah.
So do you weed out a lot of songs and a lot of personal opinions about the tunes you do?
I reckon for every album of 9 or 10 songs that we release, we've written about 30 songs, 20 of which end up in the waste paper bin. Yeah.
And not even perhaps to be rediscovered later?
Sometimes. I mean, very often we have 3 songs that aren't right, but we take elements from each of those and build a better song out of it.
Incredible use of synthesizers. I mean, I think you do it probably in a much more subtle way than, for example, Depeche Mode use synthesizers.
Or Heaven 17 for that matter. It's like we're not a synth. There's a sound that you can get with a synthesizer which gives the synthesizer in itself that kind of arena to go for. And basically what we used it for when we broke down into 3-piece was it gave us access to a lot of different instruments that we wouldn't be able to get in a room, which we do when we write. And it's using a modern tool.
I think it's sometimes disturbing when you put on a record and the first thing you think is, oh, synthesizers again. I'd rather see it in terms of, imagine if you're painting a picture, then the effect you're going for is not to have the person watching it wondering what sort of paints you used. rather just to be transported straight into the image of the painting, so their imagination starts ticking over. And that's all that synths are for us.
A subtle use of an instrument.
Yeah,
Right.
you're painting with sound, if you like.
Doctor Doctor, as a record, got incredible reaction as a taster, I suppose, for the album.
Well, actually, the original thing was releasing "Hold Me Now" before Christmas, and everyone said, "Don't do it." You know, all the big guns will be releasing for Christmas,
Of
and
course.
just get swamped and forgotten about. And
It's like a giant killing, wasn't it? We wanted to compete with the big guns.
yeah,
we thought, well,
now or never.
yeah,
Heads on
it's
the block.
pointless. You've got to
Yeah.
sometime come out and give it your best shot, and that's all you can do is give it your best shot. And if it's not good enough, c'est la vie.
It's by competing with those big guns
Yeah.
that you've in fact become big guns yourself. I mean, the reaction at the Apollo the other night was like...
was
Yeah, we
superb.
were just talking about this before. I think that gig was probably, on the tour so far, the best one we've had. Certainly the best reaction from the audience. It was wonderful. Everybody said to us, I mean, we were a bit worried about coming to Glasgow and playing on a Saturday night. You know, you hear these rumours
I
when
know,
you come
it's
from down
terrible,
south.
that is. Yes.
But then on the other hand, our tour manager and various people who had been with bands that had played up here before said the Glasgow audiences are some of the best. And they definitely were. I mean, I had a riot. Everybody did.
It's fantastic.
It was
It's-
great.
Again, it's impossible to say how uplifting that is, especially when you're a little bit nervous about it and don't know quite what to expect. They gave us the time of our lives, and hopefully we did the same for them. So.
We can be very critical, but when we like you, we sure like you.
Yeah.
That's
Well, I suspect. I mean, we had a taste of the spirit of things in Scotland when we came to Murrayfield, and there is that sort of like. I can imagine after we played the Glasgow thing that when they come down to London for their internationals, and there's always a furore, and they always take over London. I can see why, because there's such a the spirit seems to go a lot further.
It's great enthusiasm. I think as you move north, and probably, I mean, what it'd be like in Iceland, I don't know. But as you move sort of, even when you get to
They're
like
continually
Manchester
pissed
and
in
north
Iceland,
from
apparently.
London, people actually tend, I think, to be a lot less inhibited
They
in their
shake off the
response.
cynicism as well, don't
You know,
they?
if you're
Yeah.
paying your
Yeah.
£4 and you're going out for a night, you're going to have a good time. You're not going to be bothered what people standing next to you think about you, whether you're hip or not, you know, which is a brilliant way to have a gig and just to have any outings, you know.
So we've already learned that you're incredibly democratic as a band, and that you sort things out.
I don't know about
No, we're not
democratic.
democratic. We're actually quite fascist in the way that we work.
Because
Yeah.
we do argue, and we don't say, well, let's vote on it. We say, let's just keep arguing until the best argument wins.
And it's really whoever can yell longest and loudest ends up winning.
Which is why our voices are so croaky.
I find that quite interesting, though, because the biography which the record company provides to people, you know, like press and interviewers, says that, Tom, you look after the music, and Joe, you do all the stage show working out, and Alana, you do the videos.
Yeah,
Not
that's
quite as simple as that, because obviously we're all musicians, so we all get involved in the music. We all wear clothes and have our photographs taken and work on the videos. We all are on stage in the performance. What it initially started out as was a sort of end to the buck passing syndrome, where if the record's not right, someone has to take final responsibility for that. So I do, and for the visual elements, Alana does. For the performance and set design and lighting, Joe does.
And there is
But
within that there's an overlap, obviously.
it
else we'd all
crosses
get
over a
really
load. I
dead
mean,
bored.
that was sort of a couple of years ago. We decided to do that, like Tom said, and since then it's very much got mishmashed up, and we all work on everything together.
As I was finishing the album and working a lot on the mixing,
Because you were 50% credited with the production
That's right.
on this album.
and Joe and Lana didn't have to be there so much. It was really great to feel that, even though that was virtually killing me, the amount of work I was putting in, that behind the scenes, you know, Joe was away working with his lighting designer, designing the sets, getting ready for the tour. Lana had got a lot of ideas for clothes and videos and things churning away. It's that's a great feeling. Yeah.
Is there a worry, though, that Into the Gap, particularly being such a big album initially, and I guess the sales will continue, that you're going to have to do something pretty big to follow it now?
Oh yeah, but that's part of the challenge, you know.
I think it was more worrying doing Hold Me Now, that period. I think it's relatively easy to do a fairly good one-off album. It's more difficult, and people reserve judgment. They will reserve judgment to see what you're made of. If you've got any more depth, you come out with your second album, and you can either take the crown with it or not.
People are quite happy to see you as that year's flavour and forget you the next. if
I
you're not
think after
careful.
the second album, I think although it's still difficult, we've had a really difficult gap which we've managed to leap.
But there are some groups at the moment sort of making a fantastic career out of consolidating their previous work, like the Eurythmics, Simple Minds, to name two relatively local influences.
Yeah.
And I think we're part of that trend rather than suddenly coming and going, you know.
People's comment about Into the Gap is that it's a very much 1984 album. So later in this year, you're going to have to record a very much 1985 album.
But we sort of don't know what we're going to do. That's the nice thing about it, you know. It will be very different from Into the Gap, the next album, and that's the good thing about what we do. We have to leave that, always have that certain amount of danger, surprise and things, just to keep us going as people. You know, I mean, we could have made this album, could have been very similar to the Sidekicks. I made a lot of dance tracks, very good dance tracks, you know, but it was like we felt we could make great 12 inches. We could turn a whole dance floor on, you know. But so then it was time to move on to more melodic stuff and try stuff that we thought we weren't so good at and see what happened. So we came up with things like Doctor, Doctor and Hold Me Now.
You had 4 singles off the last album. Are you going to go as far as that with Into the Gap?
Yeah, we are. Partly because the design for the backs of the singles bags, when there are 4 of them, you add them all together, it makes another picture. So we're pretty well committed
so we've got to.
Got to do that now.
But I mean, some people turn up their nose at that and say, you know, isn't it what they call it, milking the album? But I think it's actually a testimony to your songwriting ability. If you haven't got 4 good songs to release as singles, then you shouldn't. If you have, go ahead and do it.
So can we play out with what is going to be the new single then?
It's going to be You Take Me Up. Yeah.
Just before you go, we had a competition on the programme last week, and thanks to everybody who wrote in, we've done the business and picked out the actual winners before you came in to save all the paper rustling. So could you do the honours and read the names there of the winners of autographed albums, which kindly you've signed? Tom.
5 lucky devils here. First of all, Murray Osborne of Bishopbriggs.
Yep.
And second is Anne Richardson of Larkhall.
And third is Graham Smith of Hamilton.
Number 4 is Alex Lowe of Shawlands. Is that right?
That's right, Shawlands.
And number 5 is Karen Ann McFadden of Johnston.
Okay, well done to you 5, and thanks to you for signing the albums. We'll get those off in the post tomorrow. Can I wish you all the very best? It's going to be, I think, a busy year for you. You've got the rest of this tour to do and some songs to write and then another album to record. Are you going to get a break?
85.
Yes, 2 days off in 85.
Yeah, I think it's work hard to survive.
It's been a pleasure talking to you tonight on the programme. Thanks a lot for taking the time in the middle of a busy schedule to come in and talk to us.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.